After years and years of watching and waiting, what I thought was impossible has come true. The Charlotte Hornets have had a good offseason. It starts by taking Kon Knueppel at number 4, and originally I was not a fan of this idea, but the more you look at it, the more it makes sense. We're going to talk about that later, though. You also have the Mark Williams trade, which I was alright with. It's probably been my least favorite part of the offseason so far, but I think we went 2 for 2 in the second round. I think we had a great pick with Liam McNeely, which we got from the Mark Williams trade, and then now we go out and get Collin Sexton and a second round pick for a guy that wasn't going to be on the team after this year. Jeff Patterson might be cooking. And when you're talking about this offseason, Kon Knueppel is the first thing that comes to mind for the Hornets because obviously he was the number 4 overall pick. And usually I say you can never draft fit over talent in the top 5. There were guys like Trey Johnson and Ace Bailey available who will both probably be NBA superstars, and we ended up with Kon Knueppel. But when you look at this roster, Trey Johnson or Ace Bailey would not be able to develop on this roster because you got LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges all already taking a ton of shots. They need a guy like Kon Knueppel who is 6'6" with a 6'6" wingspan, but is an absolute connector on both ends of the ball. What do I mean by that? He's a guy that can shoot the 3 ball, he can drive inside, he can set others up, and he can impact the game without touching the ball. 14.4 points a game, 4 rebounds, 2.7 assists, and a steal last year at Duke. 48% shooting from the field, 40% from 3. He was on the best team in the country, even though they didn't win the national championship, and he played alongside the number 1 overall pick, Cooper Flagg, and still had a phenomenal impact on every single game. He is a lights out shooter, like right here, flying off this pin down from Kamal Malawach. He's just going to set it simply. He gets that inside foot down and uses the rest of his body to take his momentum towards the ball and get this 3 ball to fall. That's a really tough shot, and that's something he can do at the NBA level. Then the little flare screen here, Malawach completely takes Elliot Cadeau out of this play, and Kon Knueppel catches and knocks it down. You will see Kon running a lot of flares and a lot of pin downs in the NBA because he can go score. He's 215 pounds, so if he has a smaller guard on him, he can use his body to keep that guard or the big because, I mean, he's strong enough to keep bigs off of him as well. Use his body to get to the rim, and he's crafty enough to be able to score over bigger guys. Now, his pick and roll playmaking is also pretty solid. They run a little Spanish action here, and Kamal Malawach gets the easy lob, and then this time against the zone, he finds Malawach up top as well. And then speaking of Duke centers, we did decide to go ahead and move on from Mark Williams, and obviously was expected since they literally traded him once already. Liam McNeely is part of the return. We also got a future first-round pick, which will likely be late 20s, but McNeely will be fun to have in Charlotte, another floor spacer for LaMelo Ball with a team that desperately needed floor spacing. 14.5 points a game and 6 rebounds last year at UConn, and you might be saying you need to do a better scouting report because he only shot 38% from the field and 32% from 3 on 5.4 attempts. Well, no offense to Dan Hurley, and I'm not saying I know more than him about basketball. He used Liam McNeely wrong. Right now, McNeely gets to play off of guys like maybe my favorite pick from this draft for the Hornets. When they traded Mark, it became so obvious that if Kalkbrenner was still available at 33 or 34, he had to be the pick, and he was. So shout out to Jeff Patterson. He definitely got that one right. 7'2" with a 7'6" wingspan. He is a large individual, and I know he spent 5 years in college. I'm not worried about it. He's going to come in and immediately be gifted with an opportunity to make an impact. 19.2 points a game, 8.7 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and 2.7 blocks last year at Creighton. Shot 65% from the field, and even shot 34% from 3 on almost 2 attempts a game. Very promising shooting touch from outside. He's got that traditional big scoring bag, but he can also flex out into that hybrid modern big where he can go out on the perimeter and score, like right here. The dribble handoff doesn't work, so he just steps back and knocks down the 3 ball with confidence. And I know they're playing UT Rio Grande, but still, this ability to knock down the 3 ball is going to be a revelation to his game that's really going to help him in the NBA. Look at this. Face up, rip through, spin with the left. That is tough. That is NBA level. And then in drop coverage, he is a demon. He literally should have put a trademark on the Big East Defensive Player of the Year because he won it 4 consecutive seasons. And then speaking of defense, Seion James comes in, and I'm really excited about him. I wasn't originally. I thought this was a bad pick, and a lot of other people thought this is probably the worst pick that the Hornets made. He only averaged 8.6 points a game, 4.2 rebounds, 2.9 assists, and a steal. But I watched Seion pretty much all all year last year. Shot 41% from 3, by the way, only on 2 attempts a game, but still, he's a grown man. He's going to be able to come in and impact winning in Charlotte from day one. 6'6" with a 6'7" wingspan, but he played point guard last year. He has transitioned into a point guard, and while his ball handling and playmaking may not be that of a traditional point guard, he's 6'6", 220 pounds, so he can play that role. He can defend at a high level, and he's also extremely smart. Watch him slip this screen, and there are other guys on this Hornets team that can also play point guard that he can fit in with. Remember, he wasn't always a point guard. In his final season at Tulane, he averaged 14 with 5.5 boards, 2.7 assists, 1.6 steals. But the one thing that is in common with all these young draft picks, they have been in winning cultures, winning programs, and hopefully that can help flip the script with the culture here in Charlotte, as well as bringing in the young bull himself, Collin Sexton. And while your GM being on the phone with Danny Ainge is not exactly a good thing in most situations, this time Jeff Patterson came out on top, and I'm excited about this. Collin Sexton comes in, bringing obviously his intensity, but also averaging 18.5 points and 4.2 assists in just 28 minutes. Also shot 48% from the field and 41% from 3 on close to 5 attempts per game. His shooting stroke has really improved, and though he's only 6'2" with a 6'7" wingspan, he's going to be coming off the bench more than likely behind LaMelo. I don't know what this means for Tre Mann, and probably by the time you're watching this video, Tre Mann has already decided where he's going to go because I'm posting this literally as free agency opens. But Collin Sexton, I wouldn't mind having him here long term. Per 36, he averages 23.7 points a game, 5.4 assists, and 3.5 rebounds, and bringing that in off the bench from LaMelo Ball, a guy that is probably rather drive downhill compared to LaMelo, who would rather chuck 12 threes a game. It's a nice change of pace. And like I said, shout out to Jeff. He's done a fantastic job this season. He's either brought in players from a winning culture or players with a high level of intensity, neither of which the Hornets have. The Hornets are notorious for having an absolute dumpster fire of team culture. The locker room is in shambles, partly because we got a bunch of thugs on the team, but also because it was run like an AAU program for like the last 10 years. But now this is a solid 10-man rotation. This is a more than solid 10-man rotation. We actually have 10 NBA level players on the roster for more than a period of time. Now, the Tisdale Salon situation, it's going into year 2 of its experiment, and my phone is still cracked from when I threw it across the car when we drafted him, but he's still going to be the youngest player on the team, so there's that, I guess. Heading into free agency, the Hornets will have $2 million below the salary cap. They're $42 million below the first apron and $54 million below the second apron, so they got money. If they want to go out and make a move, if they want to go out and make a splash, the money is on the table. There's more than enough. Obviously, Tre Mann should be back in a Hornets jersey long term. You can honestly get him at a discount because of his injuries this year. And then, you got to go out and get a center because I don't know if Moussa Diabate is going to be a starting center on a playoff caliber team with the East wide open this year. With that being said, that's going to be it for today's video, though. Make sure to hit the like button, leave me a comment down below, and hit that subscribe button. We're looking for 300 likes on today's video. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching.